Hey there, Cats and Kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues. And with this video, I'd like to talk about another favorite movie of mine hailing from 1985, the co-written and directed Cary Medoway film, The Heavenly Kid, starring, of course, Lewis Smith, Jane Kaczmarek, Jason Gedrick, and Richard Mulligan, among others. This movie hit me at just all the right levels. You know, I was somebody who grew up fascinated by 1950s culture and the greaser thing, movies like Grease, as well as the TV show Happy Days with Fonzie, Arthur Fonzarelli, all of that kind of stuff. The leather jackets, the jeans, the motorcycles, the car races. And this movie just, it had all of that, but it also sort of did it in a modern spin with, of course, the 80s. It was supposed to be present day 85, I guess. And added a whole level of the supernatural, the afterlife and everything, that it had everything going for it. I remember loving this movie as a kid and a teenager and thinking, how awesome would that be to have a guardian angel who was like a 50s greaser. Now, we're pretty much following around the character of Bobby. He starts off the movie as part of this sort of gut race, as they call it, where, they're going to be driving off this cliff, and whoever chickens out first loses all respect and everything. And Bobby ends up being the guy to stay in the car till the last minute, even beyond, in fact, the last minute. He ends up getting caught and dies right in the opening of the movie. He crashes and burns, and that's the end of Bobby. But it's the beginning of a brand new adventure in the afterlife for him, where he's picked up by this guy played by Richard Mulligan, who I always loved, from the show Empty Nest, which I think was a spin-off of the series Golden Girls, if I remember correctly. But he's absolutely hilarious in this movie for as much screen time as he has, which isn't a whole hell of a lot, as the character of Rafferty, who's kind of like the guide to this 50s greaser Bobby. And he's telling him in this midtown environment, there's midtown, uptown, and I guess downtown, which is supposed to be hell as opposed to uptown, which is heaven. He's telling him in midtown, we got to see where you're going to end up because your life was cut short. We got to see if you have any sort of redeemable values and if you'll add something positive to uptown and all this stuff. So we have an assignment for you before you go on to uptown or downtown, wherever you're going to end up. And it's this kid by the name of Lenny. Now, Lenny is sort of the nerd who gets bullied and everything like that. He's close with this girl who he doesn't have eyes for. He's actually looking at the sort of slutty girl in the class who's more popular. And it's up to Bobby to essentially take this kid under his wing. He's going to be there to effectively save this kid's life because this kid is cruising for a bruising. First, he's too nerdy and he's going to end up getting his ass beat by the bullies. Then, once Bobby starts sort of influencing his life and trying to better it by giving him a complete makeover, make him sort of the modern equivalent of the 50s greaser, he decks him out with a candy apple red 1957 Chevy convertible to die for. This set of wheels is. He makes him the most popular badass kid in the school. And of course, the two main bullies are kind of like, well, you know what? This can't stand. So it inevitably, history recycles itself, and it ends up turning that this kid is going to have a gut race of his own to prove his worth. He kind of sort of, because he becomes more badass and popular, steals the slutty popular girlfriend of this guy who happens to be the bully who hates him and everything. And it just, it's up and down. It's a roller coaster. There are twists and turns to do with who the mother of this kid is. Turns out the mother is the love interest that, Bobby left behind back in the 50s or 60s, whenever it was he died, and she's married to his rival, which is very interesting. So he's kind of going through a lot of conflicting emotions, and then there's a big-time reveal that, if you've seen the movie, you probably know what it is, but I won't spoil it for you here, and it just really ends with this sort of affirming sense to it, Several of the songs, the opening, closing song especially, to this particular movie, not all of the music is good and will stand the test of time, but a few of the tracks throughout the movie are really cool. And it's just really fun seeing the interactions between Bobby and Lenny and how similar they are and everything like that, and how Bobby's kind of going down memory lane and having to really come to grips with the fact that his life was cut short and that he has to move on. He can't, sort of be with the one he loved and lost and everything like that. He has to come to terms with his rival having gone and married her in his absence and everything like that. And there are multiple characters having an arc in this particular movie. One doesn't even see her arc coming. That is the love interest and mother to this kid that Bobby has to be a guidance to. It's just really, 80s stylized, flashy movie, but Of course, I absolutely love it, as I say. So, otherwise, yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you've ever seen The Heavenly Kid, what you thought of it, whether it was a movie you liked or you didn't like, anything goes. And, yeah, otherwise, that'll be it for me on this. I hope this video finds you well. I'll catch you all later. Peace.